Welcome to the ARC Adventure Race 2018 Excalibur Edition, which will see 58 teams racing the wilderness on the east side of the Coromandel, between Whangamata in the south and Whitianga in the north. It's great to see so many schools racing today as the ARC helps to raise funds for an outdoor pursuit centre for youth on the Coromandel. We're at the start of the long 24-hour course as kayakers head off from Hahei Beach in the dark, while behind us the mountain bike option are off, with both long course races meeting up at Coromandel. Now, Hahei Beach is known for its dumpy surf break, which is proving testing for some this morning in the dark. When the surf wins, there's no other option but to empty the kayak and set off again for another go. The rain front is with us for the weekend and rivers are likely to rise. Race director Andy Reid will trek ahead on the mountain leg to check those crossings and divert the race if need be. The first checkpoint is Cathedral Cove, with the kayak finishing up the river at Coromandel, then a trek to the Pinnacles and onto Broken Hill, and finally a mountain bike around the Tairua Forest before finishing on the estuary at Pauanui. The winners are expected to traverse the adventure in 16 to 18 hours. On the water, it's hard to pick who's winning, but the live tracking is indicating we have a race between PricewaterhouseCoopers, or PwC, and local team and past winner Crash Bandicoot. PwC is captained by Rob Nicol and includes former All Black captain Richie McCaw, top international adventure racer Sarah Fairmaid, and world champion adventure racer Bob McLaughlin. Locals Crash Bandicoots this year has fielded Tim Lynch, Darren Donnelly, Joe Donnelly and John White. Team Tim Tams needs a little hand with the surf lifesaving boat, and Coast Guard is on hand as backup, in this case giving a ride back to Whitianga when a rudder broke. The 22-kilometre kayak leg is expected to take 2 hours 30 minutes. Looks like Aidan Bowell is managing a good self-rescue. There's an ARC adventure race for every ability, right down to the shorter 8-hour. Coromandel is where we see the first of the 17 high school teams, with a great effort from New Plymouth with 33 competitors. Coromandel is famous for its pub. It's also where the long course mountain bikers and kayakers meet before heading up the Rangiho Valley, before traversing up and over the Coromandel Ranges. The high point will be the Pinnacles that dominate the backdrop of Tairua, at least on a fine day. All eyes are down the river to see who leads the long race, and it's Crash Bandicoots, with PwC close behind. All Black great McCaw checks in for PwC. This isn't his longest adventure race. He's completed the world-famous God Zone 500-kilometre week-long adventure race down in the South Island.
It was good, mate. Yeah, really enjoyed particularly the start off the beach, and getting around to Cathedral Cove was awesome. Couldn't see the checkpoint, but managed to eventually spot it in the surf. And then out and back across Cooks and Shakespeare Bluff, which is beautiful, and then up the inlet. It's magic paddle. It was real good.
It's a quick bike ride when you get into these mountains. See what Coromandel's got for us.
Got a sign out?
Yeah, 412.
48.
412.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.
It's a short mountain bike up the Rangiho Valley, dropping off the bike at the start of the 18-kilometre trek start. School teams get to mix it with the leaders over what will be a slippery, wet and challenging trek. The number of river crossings, it's safety in numbers as teams lock arms for that additional support. And PwC now leads with Crash Bandicoots close behind. It looks like these two teams are set up for a tussle all day. Keeping on the right route and finding all the checkpoints is about knowing where you are all the time. And Team Destination Unknown, well, they're onto it. Crash Bandicoots size up another river crossing. We are on board with Team PwC thanks to the help of Bob McLaughlin. PwC meets up with race director Andy Reid as they climb out of the rivers for the last time and onto the ridgeline, climbing to the Pinnacles Hut and CP. Pinnacles Hut has 80 beds and must be booked ahead. There's no rest for the racers as they head off up the mountain climb to the top of the Pinnacles. PwC report hearing the school team singing from miles away.
How's that, lads? Awesome.
Down at sea level and civilization, the rain has stopped, with the ranges still wrapped in cloud and rain. The leaders are now making their way down from the Pinnacles to Broken Hill below Tairua. The 11 kilometres down is slow progress, with teams down to a 2 kilometre an hour muddy bog walk at stages. It's Crash Bandicoots with Joe Donnelly up front that leads. 4 kilometres to go with 400 metres of elevation down to the Broken Hill transition. Crash Bandicoots are saying they're slightly slower on foot than PwC, but are getting the CP first time, making them faster over the course. Just 8 minutes later, and we can hear PwC before they come into view as they chase bandicoots.
How's the life going?
5 kilometres later, it's bandicoots first to make the transition at Broken Hill.
Incorrect. They're around the wrong
Wrong way.
Sarah Fairmaid is the veteran of many Adventure Race World Series wins. She knows the pace they will need to catch those leaders.
It's going pretty well. We have had a few hiccups, but I think we're getting on top of it. We're, had a few little nav errors and it's been a bit rough for a couple of hours.
PwC have demolished Bandicoot's 8-minute lead in the transition alone, and they power away to make the break. A trick for a quick transition is to keep moving and never sit down. Next, it's a mountain bike ride directly to the abseil before heading into Tairua Forest for a rifle shoot and search for 11 checkpoints. PwC still hold their lead as they make the abseil. The race clock stops here for teams. With a short backlog on the abseil, the leaders on the long course are let through as the dark will descend on the long course race for the mountain bike row game, while the short course teams head directly to the finish. In the wait for the abseil, Crash Bandicoots catch up, share a conversation and feed before the leaders' last dash around the forest and CPs to the finish. PwC are first on the long mountain bike row game, while short course teams make their way to the finish, which includes crossing the Pauanui Marina en route to the finish line. As short course and school teams stream across the marina to the finish line, we hear PwC lead the charge around the forest mountain bike. PwC PricewaterhouseCoopers look to have won the premier long course section of the 2018 ARC Adventure Race on time. Rob Nichol, Richie McCaw, Sarah Fairmaid and Bob McLaughlin have navigated the rain-soaked 22-kilometre kayak, 30-kilometre trek over the Pinnacles and 38-kilometre mountain bike in 16 hours and 15 minutes. We await Crash Bandicoot's finish to add up their time and points for checkpoints.
Yeah, it was good. It was a nice kayak off the beach and a bit of a surf, which was great. I think we quite enjoyed that. But then the big boats hit the shallows and slows the boats up quite a lot. But Bob and Sarah were strong, so Richie and I hung on to them and towed through.
A bad start. Well, we biked to the trek, and that was a bit of a
that was
bad
all right,
start.
but we carried on pretty good.
Yeah.
And then the trek, we all had a bit of a moment, except for Bob, probably. I had a moment. You had a moment. I had a moment. And then when we hit the bike, I think we all got pretty strong and felt good.
Yeah, until
Came
the
through
end.
good. Until the end.
And then we had the abseil, which was a bit of a wait, so we had time to get a bit of food into us, and then the bike ride was sort of, we got sort of half of it in the dark, third of it in the light sort of thing, and that sort of helped just sort of settle into the bike, and we had a great bike ride together.
And the right.
So what did Richie McCaw enjoy the most?
This last couple of minutes walking across the line, to be fair. No, it was good. I quite enjoyed the pedal. It was pretty good. Getting out in the surf and whatnot. It's hard work though. But the Pinnacles is awesome. Been up there once before, so that's pretty cool.
Well, you don't
And
know
the
now,
shoes on
because they could have had a long time waiting at the abseil. They could still be, they could still take it out. You just don't know.
Organisers Keith and Rita Stevenson and Andy Reid take great enjoyment from seeing 17 high school teams, including 33 young competitors from New Plymouth, as youth is what the Spirit of Coromandel Trust is all about.
How was that?
Oh, yeah, pretty crazy, eh?
Yeah, on the downhill on the mountain bike, so easier than uphills.
Crash Bandicoots are across the finish line second on time, just over an hour and 45 minutes behind PwC. We will know tomorrow when all the points are added up, our Premier Class winner, but it is looking very likely to be PwC, as both teams have reported locating all CPs.
We kind of entered the mountain bike in the dark. We had an hour at the abseil, so we kind of, it was a bit more difficult in the dark. Yeah. I think we got all the checkpoints, so.
It's official. Team PricewaterhouseCoopers win on a race and adjusted time, with all points added up of 15 hours 18 minutes. Let's hear from our 2018 long course overall winners, PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Oh, look, we're stoked, obviously, to do pretty well in the race, but that's not why we did it. We had a great day out. We met some fantastic people on the course, great support crew. Andy and Keith and the team from Adventure Racing Coromandel did a brilliant job with a fantastic cause, being the likely outdoor pursuit centre on Coromandel, which I can't wait to see in the years to come. And we just had a wonderful time.
Yeah, I think the good part was the Bandicoots who we tussled with. That actually made it really fun to race. It kept you going. It wasn't as though you're well behind or well in front. It was go the whole time, which was really good for us. Preparing for the next couple of weeks.
it was definitely a highlight seeing them at the abseil and being able to catch up for 20 minutes and have a feed with them and a bit of a chit chat. And the school teams, Bob?
Yeah, the school teams just lifted everyone's game up at the top on the pinnacles, and what really impressed me about them was adventure racing is all about teamwork, and it's all about getting on with each other and having fun. And they showed all aspects of that, and that's what we were out there to do, was to really bond our teamwork ready for God Zone, because that's going to be the most important thing in God Zone. You take yourself down to quite big lows, and the teamwork's what's going to pull us through.
There was about 30 kids from New Plymouth that we met going up to the pinnacles, and we could hear a haka going on, and they were singing literally the whole way up. And it was awesome. It just epitomised what adventure racing is about, and what sometimes gets lost if you're trying to race really hard. They were just having the best time. And it was quite inspiring actually, and certainly as a parent, any of those parents, they'd be pretty stoked if they were their kids.
Remember to set your sights on the 2019 ARC Adventure Race.